Hi everyone, Heather Ovalle here, and today we're making a galaxy cake, hopefully. So for the first part of our galaxy cake, we are going to need eggs. We're going to need some butter, salt, sugar, and flour. Okay, and the first part of our video is about making the little planets, and so that's what we're making right now, are the little planets. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees, so we're going to get started. And I apologize if you hear the dogs in the background. They like chasing birds outside, and so when you hear them go crazy, that's what's going on. There's a bird outside. And then my beautiful assistant Ava, my daughter, will probably be helping me as well, so you might see her hands or see her in here as well. So as always, when you're cooking, you want to make sure that your hands are clean, okay, and you have all the utensils that you're going to need. For this first part, we do need 7 bowls because we're going to be mixing up our food coloring, and we have some mixers and spoons, as well as our measuring spoons, and of course our little cake molds for our planets, which are really just little, what do you call them? Cake pops. This is the cake pop mold that I'll be using today, and you know, just use whatever you already have on hand if you have, if you've made cake pops before. And I've tried it before, but with a different method that did not work. So this is something new that we're trying, so we're kind of all learning together. So here we go. So to start, of course, I said I have already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to blend 3 eggs together. Okay, so Ava and I have mixed up our cake batter, and as I said, it took a little bit longer because we didn't melt the butter. So note to self, melt the butter. Or soften the butter, whatever. So now the next step is we're going to transfer this over to, we have 7 little bowls that we're going to be working with. So I'm just going to take my batter and I'm going to scoop it into my 7 little bowls. And then once we get it into our 7 little bowls, we're going to add some food coloring to each different bowl. And this is what's going to make our little cake pops. Our little planets, that is.
Do you want me to start coloring them?
All right, so we have divided our mixture into our 7 bowls, okay? And now we're gonna take our food coloring and we're just gonna color each one a different color. So the first one we wanna do will be, I guess it really doesn't matter, we want a space blue. So that's kind of gonna be like a dark blue. So we might have to add a little black to get our blue very, very dark. So, okay. So I have a blue and I'm just gonna put it in here. We might need some additional spoons, but let's just kind of see how this goes. I put like 2 or 3 drops in there. I don't know what color that's supposed, how deep it's supposed to go. But imagine space blue is going to be darker, and we do want a teal. So we'll probably are going to want to add that black in there just to give it a little bit more depth and contrast for when we do make the teal. So I put up, I don't know, 5 or 6 drops of the blue in there. I'm going to put 2 drops of black in here. You can see that. And we're just going to get stirring. Ooh, that's coming out pretty. What do you think, Ava?
Ooh.
So this is looking like our space blue.
Maybe you could add more blue.
I'm gonna put a little bit more blue in there.
It's kind of looking more gray than blue.
And it'll be all right. All right, Ava, you want to get a spoon and start mixing up some colors for us?
Sure.
Okay, so here is my first cake mold, and I just sprayed it with a little bit of kitchen spray so that my pops don't stick. My planets don't stick. But they are cake pops, so, but
Yeah, okay, whatever.
I don't know if I'm supposed to spray this for silicone. I don't know if it just pops right out, but that's what I did. So like I said, we're gonna make 5 of each planet, and so you know, the first, it's 4 to a row, so we'll be going over by 1, you know, and then 2, and then 3, and so forth. So, can you put the lid on that, please?
Yes.
And the first 5 that we're making is the sun. So I'm gonna do some yellow, and then I'm gonna do some red to swirl in there, and we might need to get, I think I'm gonna need a spoon.
Okay.
Please. We're probably gonna need a couple of spoons.
Do you want me to do like the other pan?
No.
Because it needs to be a full circle, so shouldn't you do 6 then?
No, you'll see. It'll be okay.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just gonna go in here and put some yellow, and Ava's gonna come in behind me, and she's gonna put in some red on top of the yellow, but maybe not as much. So you might want to spoon it in there.
That's good enough.
it doesn't need to be a lot of swirl. It can just be a, you know, a little bit of swirl in there just to give it that color. Let me see. So when you're swirling it in, you don't really want to
Mix it.
you don't want to mix it. You just want to kind of swirl it in so you'll have like, I don't know if you can see that. Ava, maybe you can. No, you can swirl it in and I'll hold it. Unless you want me to swirl it. Okay. You just kind of want to fold it in a little bit and then just kind of stir it in just a touch. And that's going to be your, well, we'll add a little bit more to that. But that's kind of how you do it. I'm just going to okay. Kind of how I swirl it anyway. That's how we swirl. That's how we swirl in this household.
Okay,
Ava's
then.
not laughing at my jokes, y'all.
Okay then.
Okay then.
Well.
Okay. All right, so that's our sun. All right, so that's going to be our 5 suns. Kind of what that looks like. Okay, and so the next one that we're going to make is the earth. And we're going to do blue and green and then a touch of white. Okay, so and see, I used up, for just those 5 cake pops, I pretty much used up all my yellow cake batter. Maybe there's maybe like a spoonful left, and I can just, you know, kind of divvy that out into here. Okay, so we're not using the teal, we're going to use blue for earth. Okay, you want to do the,
Sure.
spoon it in there. So we need 5 of these, and you want to make sure you pretty much get it even. So go ahead and get in there.
I just like stared at the camera for 1 second.
Okay, so I'm adding some green, and then I'm going to swirl it and see what that gives us.
Maybe you should put in some of the white
Yeah,
to like make clouds. That was a lot of green.
it was a lot of green. We'll put in some of our white. Okay, so we went ahead and we did our Neptune, which is, no, we did Uranus as teal and white, and then we did Neptune as purple and white. And I know Neptune is purple, I mean blue, but you know, just to give it a little bit of differentiation, that's kind of what we did. Now we're just going to put the top of our cake mold on, and the top is the one with the holes. And we're just going to put that lid on there like so, and then we're going to pop it in the oven, and we're going to bake it for only 20 minutes. Okay, our cake pops are cooling. There's our planets. Very, very exciting how the swirls turned out. So we're gonna let these cool while we work on our cake. So we've left the oven on, still at 350. We do need some milk. So Ava, can you get us some milk, please?
Yes.
For this recipe, for the cake, we're going to use 6 egg whites, and I opted to buy the liquid package of egg whites because I just don't like separating the eggs. I feel like it's a waste for the yellow, and I do enjoy the yellow, and I do eat the yellow. So I bought this for this recipe only. We do have milk. Something fun on Amazon. It's not, I don't like the idea of cutting open the bean and like scraping out the little pods. So I found this thing called vanilla bean paste. And so that's kind of what it is right there. It's vanilla bean paste. And there's the box. Okay. And I got that off of Amazon. Essentially, we're going to alternate the wet and the dry ingredients. I don't know why. I'm not a baker by nature. I can't tell you the science behind that. I just know that this is what they told me to do on the recipe, and so this is what we're doing. So we're gonna do 1/3 of the wet ingredients, 1/3 of the dry ingredients. Mix 1/3 of the wet, 1/3 of the dry, mix 1/3 of the wet, 1/3 of the dry, mix. Okay. Okay, so that's our dried goods. We've put in our butter into our wet goods. And it says 1 teaspoon of the paste should equal 1 teaspoon of extract. This paste does have seeds in it. It's also organic. And I think I'm just gonna put a squeeze in there. Ooh, that comes out like runny. Did you guys see that?
That's cool.
I'll do it one more just so you can see it. Well, maybe we're gonna have a very vanilla cake. There we go. All right, so we're just gonna stir this up again. Okay, so as I said, we've mixed up all of our dry ingredients. We're gonna just pour about 1/3 of our ingredients. Maybe a little bit more. That looks good. About 1/3 of the dry wet. But we're gonna do about 1/3 of the wet. Okay, so this method, the 1/3 and 1/3 and 1/3, worked out really well. I can see now why they tell us to do that. If you can see, our batter is very nice and soft. It did not take us long to stir this mix up at all, not like the first mix. And so it's really very nice. The first 2/3, the first third, and then the second third that we did, it was still like really doughy, that I thought. It was more like a cookie dough rather than a cake dough. But once we put in the last third of everything, I mean, it just became super silky. And we actually went in and added a little bit more vanilla because we love vanilla in this house. So we added more vanilla to our cake. So now what we're gonna do is we're actually going to separate our batter into 4 bowls, okay? And so actually, I think that we can go ahead and use these same bowls. Well, actually, yeah. So the majority of the ingredients are actually gonna stay in this big bowl, and you'll see why in just a moment, but I'm gonna go ahead and pour a little bit of this into, you can see the majority stayed in there, and I just have a little bit in each of my little bowls here. Just a little bit in my 3 bowls, and then I left the majority in this large bowl here. And the reason that we did that is because this is the bulk of the cake. This large bowl of batter is the bulk of the cake, and what we're actually going to do is turn that black, because our cake is galaxy cake, so it's outer space, and our planets are going to be hovering inside of our galaxy. So we're going to do 1 bowl black, the big bowl, and then 3 of the little bowls, we're going to do them in white, pink, and teal. Okay, white, pink, and teal. So as I said before, I don't have white, so we're gonna leave this tiny little bowl here. We're gonna leave this as is. That's gonna be our white. And then we're gonna do teal and pink and black. Okay, we have our pan, our first pan. It's 2 cake pans, okay, and I'm just using a standard 9-inch round cake pan. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add a 1/4 of the black into this, so just a 1/4.
That's good.
Well, I'm not really sure how much.
Because we have another cake to bake.
Well, we do want to make sure we have enough in here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add just a little bit more. So you're just gonna have to judge it based on how much you have in your bowl. Basically, you want enough to cover the bottom layer of your pan. Okay. All right. And now what we're gonna do, and let me show you what that looks like. So we have, I have just enough to cover the bottom layer of the pan. So we're gonna put in some pink, some green, and some white. We're just gonna drizzle some in, okay? A clean skewer, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run some lines through like that. You see that?
Oh, that's cool.
I'll go the other direction. I don't know if you can see that at all, but when I run a line through, it kind of gives it a fun little wave. Okay, and so now we have our cake batter, and it's gonna be, oh, well, I need to smooth it back down into the other side. Okay. So now when we slice into our cake, we're gonna have this fun kind of cosmic spacey design. Ava, you wanna get the planets for us?
Mm-hmm.
All
We're
right.
gonna put more of the batter on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna eat one of these.
No, come on.
They look good.
Okay, so now we're gonna take half our planets and suns and we're gonna put them in the bottom. So I'm just gonna, you know, just put a couple Take the crusties off the edge. Okay, so what we did was we just plopped some of our suns and our planets in there. I'm gonna give this back to you to place aside. We're gonna pour 1/4 of our batter on top of our planets and hoping that we'll cover them.
We can always make more.
And now I'm just gonna do the same thing I did before. We've put in our green or our teal, we've put in our pink, put in our white, our planets are in there. I'm just gonna kind of swirl it around a little bit. Maybe do some circles, some loop-de-loops, whatever makes you happy. This is your galaxy cake. Okay. All right.
Some more blue.
And that, my friends, is our galaxy cake. So we're gonna pop that in the oven. Like I said, 350, and we're gonna cook this for 27 to 30 minutes. And after that, we're gonna cool for at least 30 minutes before we ice it. So about 30 minutes to cool, 30 minutes to cook, and 30 minutes to cool, and then we'll check back in. All right, so this is cake reveal number 1. And yes, it looks a little ominous, and it's not burned. It is perfect. This is probably the most perfect cake I have ever made. And this is the homemade version, and you can see our swirls are kind of in the middle, and you can also see that our planets, even though we plopped them in random places, they all kind of circled towards the middle, which is kind of interesting. But I am going to go ahead and set that down. Okay, we are back and we are making our buttercream for our cakes now. I did go ahead and make a second layer of cake, and not gonna lie, I used a cake mix for the top layer. So we're gonna have 2 layers, and the first layer will be the one that we made from scratch, and the second one is a box cake. Now we're making our step 3, which is the buttercream frosting. 4½ cups of powdered sugar, peeps. Oh my God, that's a lot of powdered sugar. But we're going with it because that's what the recipe says. And we also want a 1.5 cups of butter. So this butter is soft and it's been sitting. Okay, we have made up our buttercream, and we've put them in 3 separate bowls, and we're going to color each bowl different. So one will be black, one will be pink, and one will be blue. Okay, so we have mixed our colors for our buttercream frosting. There's my black. Here is our pink and our blue. So basically all I'm gonna do is okay, so I put my liner in a cup and I haven't snipped the end yet. And that's just gonna kind of help me hold it in place while I dump my icing in there. Okay, so I've cut my tip off. I've got some blue, some pink, some black in here in the middle. I have to be honest, icing is not my forte, so this is going to get really interesting really fast. I do have a cake plate, but unfortunately, I don't know where it is. So I did put this cake on a Lazy Susan, and let me just move this. We're gonna lower this down just a little bit right there. And what I'm gonna do basically is I'm just gonna go around the sides up and down first, and then I'm gonna cover the top, and then we're gonna just kind of blend it a bit. So let's see if I can, and our cakes have completely cooled, so we don't have to worry about our frosting melting. Okay, so I'm just going to use the butter knife to kind of maybe we got too much here on the sides. Now we have a beautiful gray cake. I don't really see any pink or blue in there, but hopefully we'll get that in the mirrored version. So the next thing that you do want to do, however, is we're going to freeze this for at least for a full hour, okay? So before you can do the mirror glaze, you want to freeze this for an hour. Make sure that it is good and firm, and so I will see you in an hour or so. Okay, we're back here with step 4, which is the mirror glaze, which is super exciting. And we need 7.5 teaspoons of gelatin. I don't know why they couldn't have transitioned that a little bit for us, but it is what it is. So here we go, 7.5 teaspoons. And to our 7.5 teaspoons, we are going to add 3/4 cup cold water. We're gonna stir that up, let it bloom. And while it's blooming, we're gonna go to the stove, and we're going to heat up our 1.5 cups of sugar with 3/8 cup water and 3/4 cup light corn syrup. And then we're just gonna mix that up, stir it up, let it simmer, okay? And then once the gelatin has bloomed, we're gonna add that plus 3/4 cup of condensed milk to our warm mixture that we made over the stove. And then we're gonna let it stand for 2 minutes, and then we're going to meet back up when that happens, okay? Okay, so our sugar, basically, our sugar water has simmered, and we are adding the condensed milk. And if you've never seen bloomed gelatin before, this is basically bloomed gelatin. So all we did was we added our water to the gelatin mix and let it sit, and that's what it looks like. So we're gonna add this, and then we're gonna pour it over. We're gonna pour the whole warm mixture over our 2 cups of white chocolate. And I use the Nestle Toll House white morsels for our chocolate. And I don't know if you can see that, that light is kind of reflecting off of this shiny bowl, but that's what it is. And so that's what we're gonna do. So we have our warm sugar water, which is exactly what that is with all the sugar and the Karo light syrup. And we've put in our condensed milk, more sugar, and we've added our gelatin, and so it's made it really super thin because the condensed milk is really thick. And we're gonna pour it over our chocolate. And we're going to cover that. We're not gonna stir it, we're just gonna cover it. And we're gonna let that steep for about 2 minutes. Set for 2 minutes now. Woo! That is warm. We're just gonna melt that. Stir that up just a little bit. And then we're gonna strain it into a new bowl. And then after that, we're gonna color it. So we're gonna strain it into 5 different bowls or pour it into 4 different bowls. We're gonna pour it into 5 different bowls after we strain it. Okay, so I've got it stirred up. The mixture is pretty much melted. And so we're just gonna strain it to just get out the last couple of bits. And so I'm going to ask my daughter to pour it into the strainer for me, and then that'll just flow into our little, I'm trying to get in the camera. And as you can, I don't know if you can see that because of the light, but there's a couple of chunks in there that didn't melt. So that's why they wanted us to strain that. And now we're just going to take our mixture and we're gonna pour it into our 5 bowls, and we are going to do a color. Okay, so now we're ready to pour on our marbling. And so what they want us to do is kind of mix the dark blue with the light blue and then just kind of do like a swirly thing. I don't know that my bowls are really that big, but light blue and our dark blue, and I'm just going to give it a little swirl, little swish, little swirl, and a little swish. And we're going to pour it on top, and then we're going to drizzle the pink, the purple, and the teal. So we ready?
Yeah!
Yeah! Here we go!
Do it!
Woo!
Ooh.
And we're just going to let it pour.
It's beautiful.
Let it
Get some
drizzle,
on this
drizzle.
side.
You got a big bowl in your face. Sorry about that, people. You notice I set a pan underneath. Bella, can you pull the phone and angle it down so they can see? You can see. We're just gonna drizzle.
That's a lot.
Yep. Again, I got a big bowl in your face. Sorry about that. Okay, next. Just pour it on there.
Don't want to overpower the colors.
It'll be fine because we're gonna blend it again. And the teal. And yes, it is supposed to pour all over our cake like that. And now we're just gonna do a little swish action. Ooh, that's kind of pretty, huh? Okay, this side's good. Oh my gosh, there's so much sugar. I think my Lazy Susan will be stained forever. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then the final thing that we're gonna do, it said to sprinkle either some black pearl dust and flit some white food coloring on there. I don't have the black pearl dust, but I do have some edible crystal sugars that are silver. So I'm just gonna throw some of those on there to kind of emulate some stars maybe, and call it a day. I'm gonna let that dry and it should be a mirror finish. Okay, here's the big reveal. If you can get a close-up of the cake. It's not 100% dry, but I can see my reflection in the mirror cake, which is pretty cool. I don't know when you get a close-up if that's what you see or not, but now we're gonna cut into it and see what we have, and I am super excited about this. So the big reveal of the Galaxy cake. Dun, da, da, da. So we're expecting a black cake for outer space with some colors for the nebula and a cross section of some planets. So let's hope that's what we see. Here we go. Ooh. Ah. What do you see on that side?
Planets.
Planets? On this side, we have a sun. Oh, you have the other, you have a bigger portion of the sun on this side and the earth. And if I turn this around, well, it's still, we kind of have the sun and the earth. And I'll take a picture I'll cut into another edge and see if we have some other planets. Okay, we have a Uranus. And part of, so we have more sun, we have Uranus, which is the blue, and we have Neptune, which is the pinkish purple. Right here is Jupiter. Here's some of our cosmos, Uranus, Earth, and the sun. I can do one more cross section if you want. Can we do another cross section? One more? Okay, on this side, we have more cosmos and we have another Earth going on down there. So it looks like our Uranus and our Neptune are kind of built in back in the back. So there it is, everyone. There's our galaxy cake, or excuse me, our mirrored galaxy cake, and full of sugar. But I hope that your cakes turn out beautiful and fun as much as we had fun making this. And I hope it's great.